Okay, thank you, conference. Thank you. Oh, thank you. So, you have a choice now. Would you like to hear these three great keynote speakers, or would you like to talk to your new friend? So we'll take a vote. It was very close, wasn't it, on the debate last night? So those who would like to talk to their new friend, raise your hand. Those who'd like to hear from Aleks, Carl, and Maribel, raise your hand. Oh, we just about made it, I think, keynotes. Okay, so can you please give a fantastic, absolutely fantastic OEB welcome to Aleks Subic, Carl Bowen, and Maribel Reyes Milan. Please, can you come to the stage? Woo, just hands! So, we do know that it's inspiring to have people who are just a little ahead of where you wish to be. So what we've tried to do this morning is bring three of those people together. So what we're going to do is get each of them a moment on the spotlight to talk to you and share with you this unique opportunity to hear from truly inside what's been going on. I did ask them to tell us about the failures as well as the successes. So we'll see what happens on that. And then there will be a chance for you to ask direct questions towards the end of all or any of the panel. Okay? Okay, let's absolutely go. So can I introduce you to our new friend from the University of Arizona State, and he's deputy CIO, and he's got a great story to tell. Over to you, Carl.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's terrific to be here. As you know, this is a major American holiday. That's right, today is Black Friday. So Americans are getting up early, they're heading to the store to buy new clothes, they're buying new television to replace the old TV. Anybody here old enough to remember when TVs didn't have remote controls? Anybody remember those days? Yeah, you had one of these, right? Console TV. Now, I'm not that old, but my parents had a really old TV. And see, because I was the youngest in the family, which meant that when it came time to change the channel, they would send me up to the TV, and I'd have to turn the knobs and wait for the adults in the room to decide what it is they wanted to watch, right? And if it was a commercial, then you had to stand there and wait for the commercial to finish. Yeah, you've all had this experience, I can tell. Now, after many, many years, one day, mercifully, the TV died. Yes. And so what they did, so my parents went to the store and they bought a new TV. And what they did was they brought it home and then put it right there on top of the old TV. And so it's interesting because we tend to make this same mistake as we think about new technology, right? We tend to want to kind of put the new thing, just stack it there on top of the old thing. So for a moment this morning, let's kind of reflect and think about history. And I'm going to ask you to go back in time. Go back to the 90s, go back to the 80s, go back to the 70s, pick by the old jar, maybe further. In explaining to people of that era about today's technology, how would you possibly explain it? See, for me, I think about being in middle school math class, and I used to say to my teacher, Mrs. Ashley, he's like, why do I need to learn this stuff? I'll just use a calculator. And she would always say the same thing. She was like, now, Kyle, it's not like you're going to have a calculator everywhere you go. Well, about that, I do have a calculator everywhere that I go. That imagine explaining to people of the past, it's like, yeah, you're going to have a calculator everywhere you go. And not only that, you are never going to talk on your phone, but you will stare at it for hours on end. That, in fact, there will be a day where you'll ride in cars with strangers and pay for the opportunity to do it. That there will, in fact, be a day where you'll wear a computer right there on your face, just for fun, right? That as we think about technology and the way that we look ahead with it, part of what we have to do is grapple with what is the reality of the world that we're bringing it into. So we think about students and their engagement of learning and how they come to that experience, but then are sometimes met with a harsh reality, right? So part of what we have to do is challenge and think about how people are motivated, right? At their core, how they engage in this work. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, speaking to that motivation. But now, before learning can happen, we must start with Wi-Fi and power. And increasingly, AI. Right? That we have this kind of new challenge with AI, but we have different ways of looking at and thinking about it. That we can look at AI through a number of different lenses. We can think about AI as a creative, something helping us think about ideas, exploring new ideas. What are the possibilities? We can think of AI as a coach, something providing me with guidance, giving me direction, but not giving me answers. And we can think of AI as the calculator, something that always gives me the right answer. And the reality is it does these things differently, and it's not good at all of them. It's really good right now in its current instantiation as a creative companion, something to help you think creatively, and that's where we're going to be focusing a lot of this discussion today. But it's getting increasingly better as the coach, helping provide that guidance, and in reality, right now it's a terrible calculator. In fact, there are better technologies for it. So as we look at this and look through these lenses, part of it is to recognize that we are still learning. So if you're worried about whether or not you missed AI as a phenomenon, you didn't, right? You absolutely did not. The interesting challenge we have with this technology was that it came around without an instruction book. So many of the technologies that we work with came to solve a problem. And we understood what that problem was, and it was designed around that. Here we have a technology that was not designed to solve any problem in particular, but it kind of inspired us all around. It has the potential to take on some really complex problems. So what's interesting about AI is that it's my-sized, meaning I determine how I fit AI into my work, into my teaching, into my learning. For Arizona State University, it's part of what we might describe as a one-size-fits-one proposition. It's not cookie cutter. It means that each person can define for itself. Every student can use it to learn in new ways and to support their own creativity. That as we talk about AI, we can talk about it in a lot of different ways. And we definitely all do this, whether we're just kind of trying to figure out what the basics are, or we have butterflies and nervousness about what that future looks like. That we just kind of have talk about kind of what those concerns are, or we're talking to other people like events like this one about how are you using it? How is it changing your teaching and learning? Now for ASU, at the core of our work is our charter. If you ever meet somebody from Arizona State University and ask them about the charter, they'll be able to identify the part of it that most resonates with their work. For me, it's this. That we measure ourselves not by who we exclude, but by who we include and how they succeed. It's a charter of radical inclusivity to make sure that anybody who wants an education knows that they have a home at ASU. So when we look at AI and think about what is its vision, the thing that we want to achieve, what we want to achieve are better outcomes. So what does that mean? Well, we can think about it in a couple of ways. We can think about in terms of being able to teach more effectively. We can think about enabling students to solve more complex problems. I'll share a couple of examples of that in just a moment. We can think about achieving more equitable outcomes, helping our students overcome their challenges, overcome their abilities to be able to achieve in new ways. And we think about it in terms of helping people kind of get to the goals that they want to get to, whether that be their career, their activism, their entrepreneurship, whatever that may look like. So for ASU, this is part of what we call an enterprise approach to AI. That part of this is focused on developing education and community across our university, focusing on building technology for the future, recognizing the new technologies being invented and created all the time, and to be ready for that future. And the third is around creating that space to actively innovate. So a big piece of this, like I said, is education. And so we've been focused on developing AI literacy around our faculty and our staff. We've had 3,000 faculty participate in our AI literacy course, and that's with no incentive and no reward. They opted into learning about AI because they saw the promise and the ways that it could help their students be successful. Our faculty are engaging in communities of practice to develop and share new best practices because they realize that the future pedagogies that are born AI are being invented right now. And it's important that we create these communities to share these ideas, to collaborate and work around them. And so that's why I'm focusing here on creating that space for innovation. So what does that mean? It means looking for places where we can have the greatest amount of impact, right? Who are the people that want to be a part of defining what that future looks like? And let's actively contribute to what that future is. Now for ASU, we have the principled innovation framework. This is something that we don't just apply to AI, actually we apply it across innovations to help us kind of answer the question of not can we, but should we, and why? And it's important to have that framing as we engage our broader community. One of the ways we've done this is through an innovation challenge, where we've opened up a solicitation to our entire university community and said, what are your ideas and how can we support them? And a big piece of this is looking for those ideas that emerge and exist in innovation in teaching and learning, recognizing AI and its ability to support use-inspired research and the way that research can have impact in our society. And the third is around scaling our enterprise. How can we provide a better student experience for our students? Now, this manifests in a lot of different ways, and what I'm going to do is spend a few minutes here sharing some examples. And these are stories of exploration. These are real stories, real faculty, real students, using AI, putting it to work to solve complex challenges, to explore new ideas, thinking about it in the context of creativity. One of those is around idea refinement, basically taking ideas and how can we kind of iteratively explore them over time. This is where we have faculty and students working in using AI to support the writing process. I don't know about you, but writing was a struggle for me in college, right? It was less so about learning writing and more so about procrastination as a time management strategy. But part of this is that I always had this challenge. If I knew what I wanted to say, it was in my mind and I just could not get it out, right? And so using AI, what students are able to do is visualize their writing in new ways. It gets students away from thinking about writing as a rules-based process, rules of spelling and rules of grammar and rules of sentence structure, but rather the expression of ideas and being able to see myself as a writer. That our faculty are defining new strategies for helping students use AI to push their writing forward, to take on more complex problems, to go deeper into topics they wouldn't have covered before. And what's interesting is when we ask students how they feel about that, they use the same word to describe it. I was stuck. I was stuck in revision. I was stuck not knowing what to write. And using AI helped me kind of get beyond that. It helped me see myself as a writer. We can also look at AI and its ability to support iterative thinking, right? The opportunity to kind of try a lot of different things. We see this in particularly with language learning. So we have faculty who have been using chatbots, in this case they're using ChatGPT, to make it so that students can have conversations in learning German. Now again, like writing, I also struggled to learn a language, right? And when you learn languages, you tend to, learn basic phrases. Ich liebe meine Katze, that kind of stuff, right? So now using ChatGPT, the student can have that conversation and get feedback while they're learning it. And what's unique is that they can talk about anything they find interesting. I can talk art, I can talk sports, I can talk entertainment, whatever it is, and I can have that conversation unfold in real time. And then I can get feedback from the AI in terms of how I'm interacting with it. Right? So this is an interesting case where the faculty innovator, a professor of humanities, has created this really compelling technological solution to what has been a very old problem and continues to explore what that can look like. There's another really interesting concept here is around divergent thinking. How can we take and explore into new spaces that we haven't been able to see into before? For the Americans, this is an interesting challenge when we think about the American Revolution. So for us, if we think about the American Revolution, we tend to think about it through portraits that were done of the time. Now, the challenge is that many of these portraits were generally done of rich white men because they were the only ones who could afford to have portraits done. And because it did exist in this kind of pre-selfie era, right, there were still, though, depictions of people. They existed in letters and articles and journals and places like that. And part of what we can do is recreate the people of the revolution in a new way to see people we've not seen before. Because in essence, the revolution was far more diverse than we imagined it. So our faculty in journalism are exploring this idea through their creation of what they call ordinary revolutionists, taking the historical depictions of real people and using AI to generate their likenesses, and to generate them reflecting the characteristics that they would have portrayed during that period of time. And through that, they've created what they call their Hall of Ordinary Revolutionists. It's a virtual portrait hall where they walk through and they can interact with the portraits, learning more about each person, and recognizing that the revolution that was this very complex experience that involved people from a lot of different backgrounds. What that does is it helps our students also build that same connections with events that are happening around the world today. The thing is that the people that you see on the news are not necessarily the one who has the most to lose. So it's important to kind of connect deeper into a lot of those stories. Another great example is around AI's ability to enhance collaboration. And this is kind of interesting because at this point we talk about AI as a creative technology, right, enabling a student to make something, and that's definitely what I'm going to touch on here, but also as the social process that surrounds design. This is an example that comes out of our design school, particularly around architecture. And one of the challenges they have is that lower division, early freshmen, sophomores in architecture struggle to engage socially with students who are more advanced. They've just learned more, they've developed greater spatial awareness, they've kind of developed these abilities, so building those connections and having meaningful conversations is really difficult. And so what they've done is they've begun to use AI as a tool to help bridge that social gap. One of the ways they do that is they've developed a design process where students begin to design structures by starting with the smallest element and expanding out. So in this case, they start with a window and then a door and then an entryway and a facade and so on. And they expand out their view as a way to engage and think about their work. But then they can leap that forward into full designs, thinking about structures and how they interact. And again, now we're talking about engagement between our students because they have something to look at and design with. And they can accelerate that design process. They can also think about what do these structures look like in different scenarios when it's raining and people are moving around them and being used, or at night, or whatever the case is. They can imagine that very quickly and easily. And that's where what I wanted to get to in the last one is really around this idea generation notion. That's one of the things that we can very quickly be able to create those new ideas. And so part of it is particularly as you have big ideas and to explain to somebody, how would you possibly explain it? What are the words you could use that would help somebody understand it? So that's where I met a design student who was part of a design studio in Hawaii that was taking on this challenge of coral death. And what are the things that we could design as people that would help preserve coral, particularly in Hawaii? And so what she did was she used AI, and she actually used multiple AI tools and used them in combinations to create a series of concepts. One of them was this. It was a buoy that charges your electric boat. You kind of pull it up there and charge it. It was a neat idea. Another idea she had was for a smart anchor, essentially like an underwater drone that you controlled with your phone so that the anchor doesn't go down and destroy the coral. But the one that got me, the one I was just like, wow, was this. And she calls it the Huggy. Now, it looks like an octopus torture device. That's not what it is at all. It's essentially, the idea was that why can't an anchor work like an octopus? Right, that it has these soft tentacles and suckers that can grab onto things without destroying them, which is this really interesting concept. But without the image, imagine trying to explain that to a person. Well, you see, it's like an octopus, right? And so part of it was that she had something, she manifested an idea into the world that no amount of Google searching was ever going to uncover, right? That this was her idea portrayed for others to see it, which creates a really compelling example of a way that AI can play into not only supporting creativity, but in terms of the generating of those new ideas. So as we look ahead, what I wanted to do is focus on and share with you, like, how do we create that space to actively innovate? To recognize that innovation is not a location, not a place we're going to arrive at. It's just this enduring commitment to try. As I mentioned, AI as a technology, as a movement, as an idea, is not beyond us. It is not moved by us. Now is the time to be a part of it. And part of the opportunity now is for all of us to be pioneers, to design those new best practices, to be a part of what that future can look like. Again, my name's Kyle Bowen. And thank you very much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. That was absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Kyle. Wasn't that wonderful? Thank you so much, and thank you for the examples. It's truly inspiring. Thank you. Okay, everyone, so just time for a little stand up and a wriggle, because we're going to move on. Do you want more? Okay. Find a stand. Shake it out. Yeah. Okay. So I'd like to introduce you now to Maribel Reyes-Milan, who's Director of Digital Education at Monterey. So, Maribel, you have the floor. Thank you so much for joining us today. Over to you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here and to share this space with extraordinary colleagues. Thank you, Gilly, for the invitation, and thank you all of you for being here. Some years ago, I read a wonderful book by Joseph Owen. The name is Robot Proof, and this phrase makes me remind of our role as educators. The role of education is to cultivate the creativity of our students and to develop in them those skills that make them extraordinary and irreplaceable by robots. The technology that we have today is simply fantastic. However, the most important thing is what we can do with these tools to enhance our students' skills. Let me start by introducing my university. Tecnológico de Monterrey is a Mexican private nonprofit university. It started 80 years ago in a small house with 350 students and only 2 undergraduate programs. Nowadays, Tec de Monterrey is present in 32 cities all over the country. We have almost 90,000 students enrolled in different disciplines such as medicine, engineering, business, among others. We consider ourselves as a comprehensive university that offers face-to-face programs. Even though when we have been a face-to-face institution, for more than 35 years, we have sought to complement our educational offer to our students, providing them with the flexibility in their educational choices. So this experience allows us to move from face-to-face to remote learning in just 1 week. And in addition, as a result of the pandemic, Tecnológico de Monterrey, as many other institutions around the world, experienced remarkable changes. Our students who once wanted primarily face-to-face courses, now they changed their preferences, and now they seek not only the advantages of attending classes, but also they want the flexibility to take online or blended courses. In addition, they also want to keep these high-value digital learning experiences that happened during pandemic. Thus, we decided to redefine our digital education strategy for the coming years. So we consulted our faculty, students, alumni, and management, and other stakeholders. And we now have a common and clear definition of digital education, digital modalities, quality criteria for designing and delivering courses and programs in digital modalities, and also we have made some changes in our regulations. To know more what this strategy entails, let's watch the following video.
Tecnológico de Monterrey will be an institution with a multimodal educational offering, recognized for its quality and innovation as it integrates digital education as a valuable element for its educational model. Ensuring that all students can live different experiences throughout their academic journey, where they learn with relevant techno-pedagogical solutions. For this, we are creating a portfolio that integrates in-person, mixed, and distance educational units, as well as programs and experiences for digital learning. The deployment of this portfolio will be supported by the development of competencies and enabling factors for the faculty, the selection of technologies that ensures learning processes and the delivery of the experience, as well as the spaces and processes that enable this digital education.
Let me explain the progress that we have made in the implementation of this strategy in three main areas. The first one referred to the alignment that we have to carry out in our institution. Digital education is part of the overall institutional strategy, and now we are all aligned and committed to ensure that we achieve our planned goals. We made changes in our regulations, resulting in the incorporation of digital education as part of the curriculum design. So currently, digital education is a key principle of our educational model, and we are going to include digital education as part of the curriculum design for our undergraduate programs for 2026. Our educational model is based on 4 pillars and 4 principles. And you can see, bottom left, that digital education is a part of the whole of this model. For us, digital education integrates online blended courses, as well as the digital learning experiences that could be included in our face-to-face courses. Our main aim is to enrich our students' experience through these digital learning experiences. To introduce digital education in our undergraduate programs, we develop a suitable framework that guides the designing professors through questions, leading them to determine if a course is pertinent to be taught in digital modalities. Thus, this framework allows us and our faculty to determine value and pertinence to learning. Up to the present moment, we have already devised on 44 undergraduate programs by design, in which in a structured manner, and above all considering relevance and value to learning, faculty has selected the courses that are suitable to be delivered in digital modalities. The courses in this example, the courses in green are those that must be taught in a face-to-face, and the courses in pink are those that are suitable to be taught online, blended, as well as in person. Now, we are working together with our faculty and our program directors to integrate some digital learning experiences in our courses. Some of these experiences include adaptive learning, remote labs, among others. Let's move to the second area. The second area is a key element. A key element in the design and implementation of this strategy is our faculty. To get them involved, as well as support them in the development of digital and pedagogical competencies, has been fundamental. We provide them with training and pedagogical advice, and for this purpose, we have our faculty development centers located in each of our campuses. And also, we have a national-wide offer of online courses, as well as some sites where they can find resources, pedagogical strategies, guidelines for the design courses and programs in digital modalities, as well as guidelines for the integration of generative artificial intelligence in their courses. Also, we have developed a support tool to help our professors in the design of activities, rubrics, evaluations in their courses. This tool is called Skill Studio. Let's see what professors can do with this tool.
the Tecnológico de Monterrey designed Skill Studio, a solution based on generative AI that simplifies the process to transform prompts into interactive elements known as skills. These elements can be designed collaboratively and shared with the institutional community in a secure environment. The skills are flexible and versatile. Since the implementation of Skill Studio, educators and academic staff from high school to higher education have been developing skills to answer diverse educational needs. For example, they discovered the value of this technology to enrich and optimize the assessment process with strategies, instruments, and feedback reports, the activities design, and the creation of engaging learning content.
Con Skill Studio me lleva menos tiempo generar variantes de ejercicios. Eso antes pues me tomaba horas hacerlo. Ahorita a lo mejor en una hora saco 3, 4, 5 variaciones y yo nada más adapto eso para lo que yo necesito. Cuando lanzaron el piloto de Skill Studio me encantó la herramienta porque cuando tú haces un prompt se queda guardado. Tengo como 5 o 6 skills que ya he compartido con muchos profesores.
Additionally, a significant focus is to support educational actors involved in the curriculum development and instructional design of the upcoming institutional plans 2026.
Let's move to the third area, of the last area, the integration of technopedagogical trends in the teaching and learning processes. Here are some of the examples that we have experimented with, research on, and implemented in our courses. Let's see the first one. We use adaptive learning to level up the students' learning, the learning of the students that start in college in subjects such as math, physics, chemistry, among others. The result shows that these tools help them to develop or to enhance learning. Here are some one example of the online course of business statistics. The results, we compared the results of the students that use adaptive learning without that use adaptive learning, and the result shows that the students improve their learning outcomes. On one hand, on the other hand, students feel more engaged, flexibility, and customize their learning. However, at least in this case, they feel that they have a larger workload. On the other hand, our professors have the possibility to adjust each of their classes with information that they could keep from the platform. However, they feel that they have to invest a lot of time during the process design. We also use extended reality to provide our students with more immersive environments, allowing them to have more vivid experience close to reality, with the possibility of taking them to environments that otherwise could be impossible, risky, or inaccessible. All these experiences must meet an academic objective, where they serve to carry out some procedures, activities, create something, or evaluate the students. We use immersive learning because when the students can connect mind, body, and emotions, all which in terms of learning help our students to keep more deeper and long-lasting learning. Let's see an experience that we are piloting at the present.
Developing negotiation skills is essential for professionals who aspire to strategically influence the results of their projects and foster collaborative environments where win-win solutions prevail. These skills can be developed using technology and role-playing in virtual environments such as Real de Platas, a virtual mystical town symbolizing Mexican heritage and identity. As chair of the Legacy Village Committee at Real de Platas, the student has the mission to drive growth through bold, sustainable tourism, ensuring the town thrives without losing its magic. The challenge is to conduct a distributive negotiation by pinpointing shared interests and crafting counterproposals that balance both parties, seeking ways to add value and reach the best possible outcome.
To have more visitors and to keep this village in an exclusive way. So what do you think about a 25% of our investment?
Every decision and word in this immersive negotiation simulation matters as the student engages with an AI character.
I propose 65%. With that, I can ensure the exclusivity and quality your village deserves.
Success means securing Real de Plata's future while sharpening students' negotiation skills in a multicultural setting.
We also have educational spaces equipped with technology that promote more interaction and immersive environments for our students. And here are one of our examples. We have a holographic professor classroom that simulates the natural dynamic of a face-to-face environment. Students and professors can talk each other in the natural way. We use technology that emulates the hologram effect. And the research results shows that when the students and professors use these classrooms, the students perceive the professors as physically present. And also, students appreciate the interaction between professors and teammates from different classrooms, from different campuses. On the other hand, for our professors, required that they include the 4 states of flow: enjoyment, concentration, curiosity, and challenge. But beyond the physical space and all these technologies, the most important thing is the learning experiences that the professors could design in these spaces and with these technologies. Let's see an example of a professor of education.
This course was called Pedagogical Foundations Applying to Learning Solutions and aimed to integrate knowledge of emerging pedagogies with interactive technologies. This class objective was for the students to analyze the design of a gamified environment to create innovative learning experiences. The pedagogical strategy was to design a lesson by applying the concepts that students could experience, recognize, and then use to create learning experiences based on game design. This class had an important impact for learning. The pedagogical design was supported by technological resources, such as avatars, artificial intelligence, and holographic effect, to create a class that simulated a video game. The students were involved and participated during all the session.
The teacher explains very well the topics, and because the teacher was on the presentation, I saw it like he was a character in the story he was telling us about gamification. So looking at his perspective on how to explain gamification and how to involve all students in the explanation of the topics and the activities. So I think that was the main element that helped me learn better.
The main challenge we faced was to design a learning experience enriched with multiple emerging technologies, showing how technologies enable new learning experiences, and also to represent theoretical foundations with avatars with hologram effect.
Well, as a reflection, I would like to share some of the lessons that we have learned so far. First, if you want to be taken seriously regarding your digital education or whatever strategy you have, it must be part of the overall institutional strategy. Second, to foster innovation, we have had to look what the other institutions are doing. 3, it's important to get involved our faculty in the process to their buy-in. 4, making incremental changes is important because we need to test, research, and refine what we are doing. 5, upskilling and reskilling our faculty and staff is essential, as well as maintaining a strong partnership with the IT department. And to wrap things up, I just want to come back to the beginning to remind us the phrase by Joseph Aunt and invite all of you to continue to keep working and making our students extraordinary and irreplaceable beings. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that's a great challenge you've thrown out to every one of us, and I'm sure you've all got a great idea. And thanks for the lessons too. They're wonderful. So thank you so much, Maribel, for coming to tell us about that.
Thank you.
You're going to spot people wandering around Monterey now from Berlin, I think. Is that okay? Time for a stand up and a shake, everyone? Yeah, stand up and a shake.
We also.
Okay. Okay. Just one more. So, can I introduce you to Professor Aleks Subic, who is the Vice-Chancellor and the Chief Executive of Aston University. And if you don't know, it's in Birmingham. Birmingham.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aleks, for coming. Over to you.
Thanks, Julie. And good morning, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to share some insights with you and examples from not only Aston University, but from a network of universities that I chair within the Global Federation of Competitiveness Councils, and also indeed through collaboration with partners and other collaborators. And thanks, Kyle, and thanks, Mirabel, for your presentations. I think my presentation builds quite well on what you've heard from Kyle and Mirabel, and especially the end remarks by Mirabel, where moving beyond a single shiny thing, a single technology, or a single new method that becomes our foci in a particular time, and looking at more the system, the strategy, and how that all fits the purpose of the university. I'll start with this summary. Both my network of universities and my university indeed, as well as concurrently with some of the work that Elsevier, University of Technology Eindhoven, and others are doing, have converged independently towards a summary that depicts how universities have evolved over the years and where are we right now, the emerging University 4.0 or the fourth generation university. You will all recall that University 1.0 emerged somewhere in the Middle Ages, primarily focused on teaching, through verbal communication, manuscripts, and so on. We moved on to University 2.0, where the foci became scientific research, discovery of new knowledge, and that was the primary focus of those emerging universities, like the Humboldt University in Germany, Oxford, and so on. And then we evolved towards the third generation university, University 3.0, where that research was taken further through translation, commercialization, innovation, creating economic impact, and the emergence of the so-called triple helix model of innovation and partnerships: university, private sector, business sector. Cambridge is an example of that, MIT, and so on. We are, in fact, progressing towards University 4.0. And there is an increasing realization that those universities have also distinct features that are moving beyond economic and moving beyond the triple helix model into a quadruple helix model, involving also in bringing in society in an open innovation, co-design, co-delivery model. And where they are focused beyond economic impact to also socioeconomic impact and inclusive growth. So hence we're starting to talk more about inclusive innovation, and in fact, place-based innovation, where universities are the catalysts of placemaking in the cities, regions, and networks. And that's the context I wish to describe further here. And it's timely, because the last decade has also brought about the Industry 4.0. We are well and truly ahead in transformation through the fourth industrial revolution. And you all know that the previous three industrial revolutions, as technology advanced rapidly, we left many parts of society behind. And hence, as technology developed more rapidly, never more rapidly as now, we're also seeing that happening again. There is that danger. And that is also reflected to a widening skill gap that's seen in industry, business, and society. Hence, access to skills, relevant and advanced skills, within such industrial revolution is critical. And that's where you bring the society along. And that's where universities have the greatest role to play. And hence, that's why University 4.0 transformations must be aligned also with industrial systems transformations. Because learning and work are interconnected. And that Industry 4.0 and University 4.0 is driven by the emergence of a whole portfolio of technologies, AI being the most prominent, but IoT, automation, robotics, 3D printing, biological 3D printing, and so on. Disruptive technologies that are disruptive in the work environment as well as in the learning environment. And the work environment has truly changed, and it's changing at breakneck speed. So hence, universities are again in a catch-up mode. We're changing our laboratories. We're introducing industry placements, internships. We're bringing industry on campus. We're appointing industry professionals as professors of practice, industry fellows, clinical fellows, business fellows on campus, bringing practice to campus, bringing staff and students to practice. That's been quite obvious at scale in the manufacturing world, through digital manufacturing. But we've seen also that happen broadly across the health sector rapidly due to COVID, and continue to be more rapid after COVID, also driven by the increasing cost of healthcare, with the growth in population and growth in aging population and growth in chronic diseases, where healthcare systems are under pressure like never before. The future is not about building new hospitals. The future is patient-centric, wherever they are, in home or elsewhere, where the digitalization of health has become mainstream, like in manufacturing, another large, profound sector. And what does the future hold? We're moving rapidly to digital twins. Artificial intelligence is well and truly evolving at breakneck speed. We used to measure advancement in technology in years. We're measuring now in weeks. How do you stay ahead? How do you progress educational systems and research systems, and in fact, university operating systems at that pace? We are creating at Aston the first metaverse laboratory in Europe that is focused on health practitioners training, GPs, nurses, and so on. And by the way, if you've read recently or followed AI theory or been following the various issues that are surrounding where AI will disrupt work, you will find the Moravec's paradox that says and proves that nursing, healthcare, practitioners, practice, and so on will not be replaced by AI. It's easier to replace reasoning, chess playing, decision-making, intellectual work. That's the paradox. Much harder. Human support, human interaction, healthcare support, and other work. Not to talk about the creative intuition and emotional work. Things are evolving fast, and our understanding is evolving fast. And us embracing new technologies in education is evolving fast. But the key message is learning and work are interconnected, inseparable, and the only way to progress at the speed that the outside world is progressing at. At the moment, there is an enormous digital skills gap emerging globally. This is just a snapshot of a study and the report we've launched a few years back when I was 3 years ago in Australia with Amazon Web Services, showing the enormity of the digital skills gap in industry and society in Australia. The findings at ratio level are similar everywhere. UK. In UK, in the manufacturing sector alone, we have 65,000 long-term vacancies unfilled for more than a year because the lack of matching between what's coming out of educational system and what industry and business need at scale. And this will grow. If you've seen this week, the report launched by McKinsey Global, AI alone will create 95 million new jobs by 2030. Who is going to fill those jobs? We know that when internet was created, invented, when we got the web, to date, 50 million different jobs were created thanks to the web. It's not about whether we'll have enough jobs or lose jobs. It's about whether we are able to develop the workforce of the future at scale and pace that industry and society need. The way we work now, we want. So here's the diagram that depicts what happens when technology innovation progresses much faster than education innovation. When educational innovation is progressing faster than technology innovation, we have prosperity. When technology innovation progresses much faster than educational innovation, we have social pain. So this is the race between technology and education that's been happening for centuries. From social pain to social gain, the challenge is on us. There are a number of strategic shifts in higher education where universities 4.0, like my university, Arizona State University, Monterey, and others around the world, are tackling, adapting. But the changes are so dramatic that just adapting is not enough. It is about embracing a new way of working, new enterprise models for universities, in order to be able to answer those opportunities and challenges. Digital disruption is everywhere, since it's at the heart of this. Different ways of partnering is at the heart of this. Understanding that competition in higher education is borderless. Not only with other education and training providers, but in the future, increasingly by global corporate universities and education and training providers, who will be addressing the skill gap at pace and scale that we are not able to, but also who will be better positioned to drive employability of those graduates than what many universities are able to do. So hence, cohesion, integration, again, between learning and work is critical to ensure we're not only able to address the future of work, but also to ensure that we're able to provide and enable success in work and life for our graduates. So hence employability and social mobility are critical success factors for my organization, and we lead in UK on both. And I say that in the future, various funding models and ranking models across the world will have to pay a greater attention to addressing the needs of business and industry, to ensuring high level of employability, ensuring high level of social mobility, and our contribution to sustainable development goals. To ensure that all of our students at the university embrace and have at least the foundations of these we call power skills. We call them power skills not just because they're powerful and non-perishable, but because they are empowering. They're empowering our individual students to continue with lifelong learning and to have skills that are transferable and universal to whatever professional discipline they choose. And they are the digital literacy around AI and data. Every single student in every single program and discipline at our university attains these skills. Then you can say that it's a university model, not an elective or extracurricular activity, when every single university student has that literacy. And we call it literacy because in the future, it is the new literacy. Environmental literacy is another one. Entrepreneurship, innovation literacy is another one. And interpersonal skills and the future of work and understanding the economical and social interaction is another one. Every student at Aston embraces those four throughout their studies and walks out with certified foundation in those power skills. We've also gone big in online education to improve online access and participation from diverse areas of the society, in industry and business, to enable workforce reskilling and upskilling, to support lifelong learning. And we've partnered with one of my previous partners from Australia, OES, that Gilly knows very well, and my colleagues also from EPIC and some other organizations here are well versed. But employability and the four power skills and the Aston Global Advantage, which is about being employable worldwide with support mechanisms, are all built into this. The philosophy and the outcomes and experience must be the same as on campus, but using different modes and different channels to achieve them. Finally, we talked about AI, but AI in a University 4.0 is not just about education. AI and its evolution, rapid evolution, is such that it will power, enable, and support every part of university operation. Our engagement, communication, research, innovation, education, how we operate, our HR office, finance office, everything. This is the recent development. We've developed an AI platform within our One Aston intranet that we've embedded. We've called it Ada, Lovelock. Ada, the first woman software developer in the history of the world. And Ada is amazing. We started with Ada to be the central portal to support student services. It's the first point of call for any query that our students may have. And she is learning fast. Almost 70% of student inquiries are answered there. And we already have, after 6 months of implementation, 4.4 satisfaction rate out of 5 from hundreds of thousands of inquiries by students. That's a better 4.4 satisfaction rate than many of our staff may get from students when I survey them in their courses. Now, Ada is being taught by our HR office, our finance office, our engagement office. She's become the best student at Aston. Everyone wants to teach Ada so that Ada can support all other inquiries by staff, by any student and by any staff across the organization. She's answering how to develop a CV. She's preparing 27 standard letters that used to be done by many staff across the university. She's showing the students where to find their place. She's helping staff finalize their travel applications and their visitors on campus. All of those things that took so much time and so much pain are now addressed by Ada. So now everybody wants to teach Ada, and she's the best student at Aston. Thank you.
Okay. That was wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we all want an Ada now. Okay, guys, it's over to you now. I hope you've managed to absorb some of that. We probably don't learn quite as fast as Ada, but we're trying. So we have Joy over this side and Rod over this side, all of whom are ready to take your questions, your comments. It can be a comment to an individual or it can be a comment from the panel. You know, pick their brains while you can, please. Just say who you are. So Joy, here. If you could stand and raise your hand. So that one next. Then we'll come to you two next. Okay. So
thank you. Thank you very much.
Over to you, Gila.
Yeah, I'm Gila Kurtz from Holland Institute of Technology. It's a question for you, Aleks. Very interesting, the University 4. How do you see the promotion path of academics in this kind of universities? Because right now it's based on your research and publication. Thank you.
That's really an absolutely fundamental question, and it's possibly one of the biggest tasks. Because while we are transforming the university, like others are, that involves also organizational transformation and transformation of our workforce. A lot of that is based on in-house learning and engaging and learning and workshops and roundtables, incentives. It's also admittedly based on the fact in reality that some staff we just leave alone to do the things that they do really well and support them to continue to do those things really well. So, but at the same time, embracing the change across the organization, how we function, how we work, and so on, and ensuring that the future recruitment is strategically aligned with that strategy and skill set. In some cases, it does mean also transformation of staff and ensuring that we don't replace staff like for like, that we are aligning increasingly the workforce strategy with the university strategy. So it's a multifaceted approach, it's a complex one, and it's the absolute critical question.
And the wisdom to know the difference, I guess, as well. Okay, we've got someone over here.
Hi, my name is Fabio from Delft University of Technology in the Netherlands. I have a question about ADA for Aleks. Is ADA connected to back-end systems like your learning management system and knowledge databases so that it can tell a student what they actually need to do with a problem deeper in their education? And if that is the case, how do you stop ADA from releasing sensitive information to others?
So one of the biggest challenges absolutely was our digital team, which had to grow. I've actually increased our digital team by almost 50% the last 2.5 years. We had to develop proprietary solutions to stop AI harnessing the data we don't want it to harness and ensure absolute security. And what gets through. So that's extremely important. In the first instance, we basically integrated all the program data, module data, systems data, and so on. Finance, not yet. HR is now the next project which is starting to teach and connecting with HR. But that is the protection of data and stopping it to harness the data we don't want, and also stopping having safety system not to show the data we don't want was the critical proprietary project. We will move deeper, as you mentioned, we will move deeper and deeper as we move past the first phase into that deeper knowledge section. But we are also learning as we go as well, because we are safeguarding every step by step of the way.
Thank you, Aleks. We've got one here, I think, and then Rod, I think there's someone at the back standing now. Yeah. Please go ahead, say who you are.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Gro Frøland. I'm from the Royal Danish Defence College, and I have a question for Dr. Milan. I was interested in the holographic professor. What sparked my interest was the fact that evidence-based research into education suggests that some of the key elements of successful learning processes involves a teacher who uses empathy, who connects, who has a direct human connection to the students. So that the teacher experience, in fact, has quite a lot to do with learner outcome. Now, when the digital professor, the holographic professor, is not present in the room, what can he or she see? And have you studied how that affects learner experience? I'm not sure if you understand my question.
Thank you.
Okay,
if that's clear enough.
Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, professors have to be trained to teach in these classrooms. It's not that any professor could use the technology without preparation. They have to invest time in training and preparing the classes. All the classes have some guidelines to follow professors. And also because the professors have different campus connected at the same time. He has some screens to see the students directly, so the students can ask the professor, and he saw them. They can just hand up the hand, and they can see the students. So each other can see. So he can see how they are doing, what they are asking, and also he has some people in the classroom, in the campus, that help them with to organize the questions. And we have also some signals to that students have to when they have some question mark, for example, they just go up with this mark. This is why we are doing this information. But also we are now working with some tools to help professors to measure how the group is, using some tools to know what the students are feeling, what emotions are there, but we are on research of this. I don't know if I answered your question.
Thank you, that's very interesting. Okay, please go ahead, I'll come to you next.
My name is Jai, I'm from the East European Space Agency Academy. Just a brief comment and question to all three. For me, it's a bit worrying, to say the least, to see that every time that universities evolve to a new stage, it's mostly because of market conditions or technology involvement, instead of groundbreaking research in education, in cognitive development, and this kind of sciences. So it makes me worry if universities are supposed to be on the frontiers of all sciences or most sciences, including those educational sciences. What are the factors at play that are or might be preventing universities to have to be oftentimes in this catch-up mode, trying to keep up with the pace of all sorts of evolvement and development in society, including sciences and market?
So that question was to everyone?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so if I've understood this right, what are the factors involved? Why were we behind?
I might start, and it relates also to my comments and that diagram that I showed as well. I think that question possibly has, from my point of view, two aspects, two answers. One, universities are not operating in a bubble. We are part of the society. And I think we shouldn't see ourselves as some elites special above everybody and the light to provide the light to the society. I think we need to be more humble and understand that we are an integral part of the society. So hence, the complex dynamics that are happening in our society, industries and businesses, we need to be set up in a way that we need to be able to understand and respond as an organization to those challenges and opportunities with industry, society, business, government in partnership. That's that quadruple helix model. Only then can we be effective in achieving our purpose, which is the purpose to actually contribute in a positive manner in all sorts of different ways to the society.
Thank you.
The second one is, it's not good when we lag behind. And that's where I think your comment is also, I think, quite relevant. When we lag behind what's happening in the society and catching up. And that is, I think, contained in two issues. First, the way we operate. We have to be far more agile and engaged with the outside world to read the tea leaves, to understand and foresee the future. That's one part, and to respond to that. Often universities are fantastic, doing fantastic research and come up with outcomes, and then they go out to look for the problems. It goes the other way.
Okay. Thank you. Carl, is that one you'd like to try?
Yeah, I think there's a key part of this, which is taking that scholarship, that entrepreneurial spirit that exists as part of the research engine or the knowledge core of the institution, and using that to fuel that kind of instructional innovation. And so what I think is less so about lagging behind and more so about bringing to scale. Right, that the development of new practices around any technology is a process of exploration. It's a process of trying. And as Jilly started us, part of the conversation was around, well, what is some of the failure? And the failure is hard to talk about, not because it's hard to talk about failure, but because it's all failure. It is all trying something new, seeing which parts work, which don't, and kind of innovating around that idea, because many of these technologies had their start, their origin stories in the academy, right? That they started, and really what kind of drives us forward is the bringing of that to scale, that now there is greater access. Now we see how this technology can change and provide more equitable outcomes for our students. So I think that's a big part as we think about, how to accelerate, a lot of this work going ahead.
Thank you, Carl. Maribel, do you want to try that one?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Right, so we've got someone here, I think, and then can you put your, okay, 1, 2, 3, Rod, lady in black, second row, next. Please go ahead.
My name is Magdalena. I come from Goethe Business School here in Frankfurt. When we talk about transformation and innovation in education, apart from excitement and thinking about the students and thinking how we can bring them forward, there is also a lot of fear and anxiety coming from faculty and staff. So the question to Maribel and Kyle is how do you deal with this? How do you ease that anxiety of your staff?
Okay,
and
so that was to Kyle? Or?
Kyle and Maribel.
Maribel. What about the anxiety? We all experience it, of course.
No, yes, I experience it. I experienced that anxiety. I think that Tec de Monterrey has a strong culture of innovation. And this helps a lot because our founders induce to a lot about the innovation. So when we are incorporating new things, we have some professors that are behind, that they feel some fear, but we provide a lot of training with, and also we have these spaces, these faculty centers where they can find help. We provide them with pedagogical advice. But also, I think that the most important is that we have some professors that are leading the new technologies, and they help us with others to move to the new things. Because if you see how others are doing, and they don't feel fear of this, they can transmit more tranquil or more competencies to them. So this is the way that we do. And also, sometimes we just ask professors to not just to give them what to do, is just to promote that they could raise their hand and ask to do something, or we have some contests at the Tech. For example, each year we have Nobus Prize that professors could apply for a research, for some funds to give a research and use some kind of technology. So there are a lot of tools helping professors to support with this anxiety and to use or to help them, to support them with new not just technologies, also pedagogies. Because the most important for us is the pedagogy behind the technology. And so we focus on the pedagogy, and the tool is the technology.
Okay, so clearly important cultural issue for them, recognizing it. Okay, would you like to go next?
Sure. I'm Annette Peterson. I'm with the University of Copenhagen. I wanted to ask more about the how you train teachers or what you can do with teachers. I think Maribel just kind of answered for her, but for Kyle. And if you want to elaborate on how your partnership with OpenAI feeds into it possibly, then go ahead.
Absolutely, happy. And that's where I think, without a doubt, there is fear and nervousness amongst staff, amongst faculty, amongst students as well, in terms of how they should be using the technology. How do they bring it to bear to solve their problems? Part of it is to recognize it is a discipline by discipline, course by course difference. It's deeply nuanced in terms of what it means to teach and learn in one subject versus another. And part of it is to create the space for people to talk about that, to be heard. But part of it is also, how do we kind of overcome that nervousness to really begin to create that future? And it starts by taking simple first steps, right? And that's where, one of the most effective tools to help a person understand AI is to provide them with the tools and the opportunity to create a letter of recommendation, to create a job description, to do a task that would normally take a lot of time, but now it can be facilitated. And now you suddenly see, okay, this is not the end of the world. It's not Skynet. It's not coming to get me, right? That this is a technology that I can bring to bear. And so I think that's where, as we've designed our programs, to focus on the cultural change first, to talk about, to engage with our communities of faculty, to talk about the promise, the potential, but what are the concerns and the challenges, and to do that before talking about how do we build the technology for the future, right? And by starting there, that made it so much easier once we began to develop relationships with OpenAI, with Google, with AWS, to kind of say, okay, these are the technologies, we can put them in the hands of our faculty, of our students, and to say to them, it's okay to try, that now is the time to experiment, to see, and to really kind of learn into that research core that we have and apply it to kind of that future of teaching. And so that's where, what we did was created a solicitation, a challenge that challenged our whole community, and that's where, again, thousands of faculty kind of came forward with ideas, and with the goal to say, how can we improve outcomes? How can we enable our students? And so I think that's been a big part of kind of creating that culture of innovation that helps our faculty students kind of want to lean in.
Thank you very much. That's a great answer. I don't think there's a faculty in the world who won't respond to hearing they're going to save some time. So I think that's a great hook. Okay, I think we had somebody else here. Yes, there. And Joy, person in blue, about 6 back. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Lazaros Merakos from the University of Athens in Greece. My question is on how you develop a strategy for the transformation. Do you use bottom-up, top-down, both? And how do transformation costs, how do you fund this transformation?
Okay, is that a question to everyone? Perhaps a quick answer on that from each of you. Aleks?
So we've started with a strategy. You always start with a strategy. So we've developed the University 2030 strategy, and then under that, the enabling strategy is the digital transformation strategy. And it's a systems approach. You cover everything. It has to be integrated, interconnected, and then we cost it. Some of that is costed not by fresh cash or fresh investment, but deploying and deciding what things we stop doing and what new things we start, and deploying the investment from internal. And some of that indeed requires fresh investment. Some of that requires strategic partnerships because we can't do it alone. But it has to be that kind of a systems approach.
Okay, Maribel?
Oh, yes, I think that the first is to define your strategy, to be all aligned, and to have the plan for deployment. And the funds are coming because the organization prioritize the strategy. So I think that the first one is to have a strategy, but this strategy must be part of the institutional strategy. If not, you don't have funds.
Well, I think for us, I mean, we largely started in conversation, engaging with faculty, with staff, with students, talking to them about their ideas, the potential, where they see this going, what they're concerned about, and using that conversation to then fuel an overall kind of enterprise approach that focused on education, technology, and creating the space to innovate. And I think that's been a big part. And I think with that, as Aleks mentioned, I mean, a lot of this is prioritization of resources in terms of where do we want to put these things and how do we want to push that ahead. And part of it is if we start with a conversation of kind of getting everybody in the same basic level of knowledge on the topic, then it makes it a lot easier to talk about what trade-offs we want to make or where do we want to go next.
Okay, and you all have mentioned partnerships outside the university in various ways. Do you want to say something, Kyle, about your partnership with OpenAI?
Absolutely. So I think that's where, going back to last January, we launched a partnership with OpenAI really around, as I mentioned, we had these conversations with our community, and by and large, what our community was looking for were AI tools that would maintain the privacy of the content and data they were putting into them. It was the number one thing they were looking for in a capability. And then working with OpenAI, kind of beginning to shape out, like, what does that tool look like or that technology look like, which later became ChatGPT Edu that's available now. And so part of it was to work together to define kind of what does that privacy look like and how do we kind of work inside of that environment and what types of features and capabilities would be needed to provide a tool for a class to use, because that's not the same as providing it to an employee and to work with a student. And once you give a generative AI tool to an 18 to 24-year-old, what are they going to do with it? That's a really interesting kind of question. And so part of it was having a partner that was as invested in the answers to those questions. And so that's where we kind of, again, work together on that technology, put the technology in the hands of faculty and staff and students to learn from their uses, and then further inform the design of kind of future iterations.
It does sound like a true partnership to me. Aleks, do you want to say anything about the OPM partnership, how that's working?
The OS, you mean? Oh, yes. I mean, many of you might be aware, he is one of the largest free online education companies now in the world. And I think probably one of those that's also the most awarded for pedagogical educational quality, I think, especially recently with the recent global awards. Obviously, it was founded in Australia, and I used to work at an institution that actually was part of that founding team. We've partnered at Aston with them. We've actually established a joint venture, and the OES team for UK is now, development team is based in our headquarters in the John Cadbury House in the city centre of Birmingham. True co-design, co-creation, co-delivery model, a deep strategic partnership, which is the way it should be, and a lasting one, long-lasting one, where we're together innovating, but ensuring that it's not kind of something that's driven, by one side or the other, but ensuring that we are tapping into the leading digital learning pedagogy that they are renowned for, but also bringing our educational philosophy, focus on employability, on social mobility, on access participation, on applied learning, and building that into the online experience. Because while you might have different channels, and in fact we call our model the omni-channel model because we have numerous channels. While we have different channels of education and practice, the experience and outcomes must be the same. And that's something that the commercial world has well and truly developed in various other areas, including retail, right? It's now finding its way, the omni-channel model in education at a scale.
Okay, I think, the idea that the outcomes, regardless of mode, is a very powerful thing for everyone to understand and should underpin all partnerships, I think. But it does also seem to me that the idea, if you can get a really good partnership of, we've had a couple described here, that is one way to do the catch-up. So you're sort of doing it more like this.
Let's face it.
I'm going to take one more. Please go ahead.
Yes. To Kyle Bowen, I am Ricardo from Universidad Panamericana in Mexico. And we have seen that Arizona State University has had this role of being one of the best in continuous education and online education. Everything started in 2002 with MIT OpenCourseWare, then edX, then Coursera. But I can see that this is from a strategic plan that Arizona State has put in place. I would like to hear more about that because these are red seas in the United States in this university crisis, and it's very difficult to stand out. Thank you.
Okay, so that question was to Kyle, yes? Yeah.
Kyle.
So if I understand the question correctly, so part of it is that for ASU, a big part of achieving our charter of inclusivity is to measure our growth, right? So how are we including more students and at what rate? Generally, each year we grow around 10 to 13% in terms of enrollments. And part of that is by creating new on-ramps for students so that it doesn't look the same way for everyone. And what that means is that for the opportunity, particularly with AI, is that we can create a more equitable experience. We can create greater personalization inside of those courses so that a student can kind of work towards the goals that they want to work towards. So that's why this is so strategically important to us as a technology, because we see it as the opportunity to be more inclusive, to offer more options to our students or to potential students, and then to help them get through to graduation. So it's not just enough to kind of bring them in the door, but to help them be successful and kind of achieve the outcomes they want to achieve. And that's why when we look at kind of the tools that enable that, what is so exciting about kind of our work in AI is that the benefits align with that. That's the opportunity, and why we see that technology, just beyond AI, just technology in general, is a great enabler. And certainly with online learning, the number of students who take courses online, actually here recently in the last 2 years, surpassed the number of students we have on campus. And so it's just growing because it allows us to kind of achieve that charter through the use of technology, and then increasingly help those students work through to graduation.
That's a very powerful message to underpin that sort of growth, which everyone is seeking at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. Our time with this fantastic panel is nearly up, so I'm going to put them on the spot. I didn't tell them I was going to do this. And just one message for the audience, having had a chance to engage with them before. Anything you'd like to say to them?
I might just start by, it's a very, very complex world with so many challenges, and AI is obviously harnessing to its full potential is an ongoing one. I think the only answer is collaboration and partnerships. Partner, among us as well as with others.
Yeah, thank you, Alex.
Well, yes, I want to say that I invite all of you to keep working on our students, not just to develop the skills for the job. I think it's most important to develop them the skills for the life.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would encourage everyone to explore, right? To go hands-on and to, use technology to write a letter of appreciation to somebody, to craft a weird and confusing recipe that you make in your kitchen, or to have a conversation about AI with somebody who doesn't look like you. I think that's a big part of the place that we're in right now.
Okay, I'm sure you want to say thank you once more to the panel. So, just before you leave, it is coffee time. Just before you leave, two things. One, if you'd like to continue the idea of looking back for looking forward, and we do have a workshop at 4 p.m. this afternoon with a number of colleagues in this room, so you're very welcome to join us with that. No sign-up needed. Turn up at 4 in Potsdam 3. And secondly, before you go, turn to that person you spoke to an hour and a half ago and just let them know what you're actually going to do as a result of listening to this inspiring panel. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.